What's up, guys? Brandon here from A Plus Tree Service. And yeah, someone was asking how I sharpen my saws or sharpening my chains, right? So these are on every saw that I have and that I carry in the truck, both trucks, I always carry two chains with each saw. So if we hit something, I will swap it out on the job. Just because it's quicker and faster than sitting down and sharpening it, so we're saving time there. But when the chains come home like this, they hang on the wall for a little bit, and then I hit them with my Oregon sharpener. But on the job site, we're using the 2-in-1s. We got every size, the still 2-in-1s. So I mean, if you're new to the sharpening game and you don't want to spend a lot of money on, an automatic, sharpener, then getting one of these 2-in-1s it'll help you out a lot. Obviously, I was always taught, how to sharpen just with a round file and, a square file to do the rakers. But nowadays I find, the newer guys, they only know how to sharpen with these, which is fine. So I bought all these. It does make it easier for people. I still prefer sharpening with the round file to get the best, the best edge on my chains. But yeah, a lot of people struggle, and if you can't sharpen properly, then you might get a sharp edge, but one side might be sharper than the other. And the next thing you know, when you're cutting, you're going to be cutting like a banana, or even just a little bit is no good. Trying to do a notch or a back cut, you're doing a back cut and your saw is going down, and all of a sudden you're below your face cut, then it's turns out to be a big problem then. So having sharp saws and saws that cut straight in the tree industry, it's a big thing. If you're cutting firewood, I still think you want a nice straight sharp cut, because you don't want firewood all angled and stuff like that, especially if you're selling it. People, they won't like that as much as nice, proper firewood. So before I show you how to sharpen the chains on there, I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about saw maintenance. If you're a homeowner and, you got a couple saws and you want them to last, every time you use it, especially if you're not using it very often, you might forget. But for us, it's like once or twice a week, we clean out our saws. You don't have to make the thing spotless, but blowing out the air filter is a big one. On a saw like this, anything with a choke, you want to full choke it. Take off the air filter box, take out the air filter. You want to blow out here, blow out the air filter. It's obviously best to do it with a higher pressure air compressor. But I had a smaller air compressor before I got my big one, and it worked just fine. But you kind of need an air compressor to do a proper job. So the main reason you want to choke it before, blowing out your air filter is when you choke it, it closes off the carb, so you can't blow any of the gunk into there. So definitely make sure you choke it. On a saw like the 500i, it's fuel injected. There's no carburetor, so it's different. So you can just take that off, blow it out. It's got a different style air filter, but same thing. Just always blowing out your air filters is good. So another thing I wanted to talk about, with the chain and bar is, there's a sharp chain, but there's also bar maintenance too. So every time you're, sharpening your chain and, even like working on your chainsaw, take the bar off. If you're doing a full clean out, take this right off, take the bar off, clean all in there, get all the, the bar oil and gunk that builds up in there, get that out of there. It'll run better. But you wanna feel along the edges of the bar with your finger. And if you feel a burr there, then that's gonna affect the way it's cutting. So you'll wanna take a flat edge file and just, get that down. You can buy a special tool for it that, slides along the top. It'll clean out the groove for the chain and also file down the sides. All right, guys, so this is a chain that I already started sharpening. But so basically you got your Oregon As you can see in the beginning, it's the model 520-120. That's the machine that I have. So you take your chain, you fit it in the track, just like that. Okay, so guys, you got your chain on here. Make sure your cutter is facing this way. If your cutter is the other way, yeah, you're doing it wrong already. So this is your stop. So that's gonna be what stops your tooth, your next one. So you're always gonna do one. You're gonna do either do your left hand cutter or your right hand cutter first. So right here we're set up on left hand cutter. So you're always gonna skip one, unless sometimes in the chain there's gonna be two left hand cutters in a row or two right hand cutters in a row. Just be aware of that. So right now we're doing left hand cutters. So this side. So this is your stop. You kind of want to get that centered over the tooth, so it's gonna hold it in there real good. This is your gauge that's gonna tell you how much material you're taking off. So you're gonna want to go down, and you just barely want to be touching the tooth. Taking less at the beginning is always going to be better. So right there, I'm just barely touching. So I'm going to leave that there. So back here on the machine is your depth gauge. That's going to tell your cutter how far down you want to go. I have it set up, good right now, so I'm not going to adjust it. But, you can play with that to go lower or higher. You just want to make sure you don't go too low. Going too low and getting into the linkage, wouldn't be good. It's just going to weaken your chain. This is the on-off power switch right here. So I'm going to do three teeth or 3 or 4 teeth on the left-hand cutters, and then I'll show you how to, flip it over and do the right-hand cutters, just for, purposes of this video, just to show you how this thing works. It is a good tool to have. You can buy the cheaper ones. I wouldn't buy anything that's, not a good brand name like Oregon, but like the ones from Princess Auto or Harbor Freight, I don't think they'd be very good. I've heard bad things about them, but this machine works great. And if you have a lot of chains, you can blast through them pretty quickly. I'll start on the left-hand cutter. I'll do a couple of those, and then we'll go from there. So this is the tightening. So once you have it backed in on the tooth that you're ready to sharpen, you tighten it. And so as I'm tightening it there, you want to make sure there's a bottom tightener on the bottom here. I'll show you that after. But you want to make sure that's very tight, because if that changes angles, that's just going to, give you a bad sharpening. So make sure that's very tight. I got it on 30 degrees. I tighten this all the way up, and now we start it. Okay, here we go. One tooth done. Two. Three. Okay, I'm going to shut this off, and I'm going to switch over to the right-hand cutters. So loosen this. Okay, so now you're going to loosen this bottom thing that I was telling you about before. Loosen that. Turn it to the opposite 30 degrees. Get it right on there. So on this, it's 0 to 35, 0 to 35, right-hand cutter, left-hand cutter. So now that you switch sides, you know that you're going to pull forward. So you pull. This is like that for the other cutters. This is like that for the other side. So you pull forward, get that right on 30 degrees, tighten it real tight again. Don't have to touch the chain or anything like that. And we're going to get that on our right-hand cutter. So going to line it up, make sure she's good. Remember, less is more at the beginning. You don't want to dig too much of your tooth off for no reason. Okay, so we're going to try it there. Okay, so that is all there is to it on this thing. You know, get you a perfect angle every time. The main thing with this thing is make sure all the settings that you use and you adjust, that you tighten them very tight, because if they move a little bit, your cut's gonna be off, and you know your sharpening job's gonna, you know, be crap. But this comes out very sharp. I would say the sharpness from this thing is very similar, if not better, than when you buy a brand new chain. When I run a chain through this, I like the feel of it better than, you know, a chain that, you know, I just pulled out of a box. So for me, this thing works great. It's fast, it's easy, and, you know, it saves me a lot of time. So try it out. So 500i, it's got no choke. Hit this like 6 times. Prime it. This saw's been sitting in the back of my truck, like in the bed of my truck, so it's cold. Cold start. Hey guys, so this first cut right here is with a pretty dull chain on the 500i. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how it works after it's sharp. Okay, so I'm not doing the down and up cut because this thing is pretty dull, so I don't feel like sitting out here in the cold doing down, up, down. So I'm just going down. All right, here on this cut is the Oregon sharpening job, and yeah, let's see how it goes. All right, last test. This is me hand filing it with a round file. No 2-in-1 file, just straight round file. We'll see how she goes. I don't know, it's hard to tell. It's definitely shooting nicer chips, I would say. Maybe around the same. But it's hard to tell because I just went from, you know, Oregon, sharpened it, and then I resharpened it, which I like to do a lot because the Oregon gets it on the right angle every time, and then I can come in and kind of get the chain exactly how I want it. So yeah, guys, that's how I sharpen a chainsaw. Anyways, guys, as usual, thank you for watching, and that's how I sharpen my chains. Obviously, I have, you know, a $500-600, I can't remember exactly what I paid, sharpener, which I use when I have bulk chains. But at the same time, you can go out and spend $30 on the 2-in-1 still sharpeners. I think they sell like knockoff ones like on Farm Tech or something like that, and they're probably the exact same thing. I've never tried them, but they look the exact same as the still ones. They're just white and blue. So, but yeah, get yourself one of those. Don't keep throwing your chains out. If you're a homeowner and you know you have a dull chain, don't just keep buying new chains. I think it's always good to have, you know, 2-3 chains for each saw, but, you know, learn how to sharpen them and, you know, stop wasting your money. So yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching.